A home invader, a bad guy heading my way. I have several guns I can respond with. Some are modern guns with large capacity magazines, but I'm choosing the 150-year-old design. Because the Revolver, the grandpa gun from those old Western movies, is still the king of self-defense. When I think about revolvers, one word comes to my mind, and it becomes a lot more obvious when you compare it with these other guns. Gun 1, the semi-auto pistol. This gun is faster and can hold more rounds than a revolver. Yeah. But there is a lot going on. Many semi-autos have around 60 parts, half of them being moving parts. The slide has to move back, the empty shell has to be ejected, the next round has to come up from the magazine, and it has to be slammed into the chamber. Glocks have fewer parts, but still same multi-step process. It's beautiful when it goes right, but more parts and more processors mean more potential for things to go wrong. All of it has to line up every single time in a fraction of a second. And you better keep it clean, because if you drop it in mud, sand or snow, or allow gunshot residue to build over time, these parts stop moving. It all adds up to a jam rate of 5 to 10 rounds per 1,000 shots. It seems small, but it is not when you're about to make a shot where your life depends on it. The moment you introduce stress, an unpowered round, a weak magazine spring, or a grip that's not firm enough, that number goes way up. Any dud round, any bad primer, any dead cartridge, and now you're stopped. You have to tap, rack, and reassess. If you are using it for self-defense, that means a whole drill, under stress, at the worst possible moment. That drill takes about 2 seconds when you have practiced it 1,000 times. In the movies, it looks like this. Clean, fast, effortless. You are not John Wick. At 3 a.m., heart rate at 180, half asleep. You are especially not John Wick. 2 seconds, at best, is a very long time. Time you cannot afford to take when it's life or death. Gun 2, the AR-15. This is the AR-15, the most popular rifle in America. Millions of people keep one for home defense. It is genuinely excellent.
Excellent.
Every action movie agrees. Val Kilmer, Robert De Niro, and crew running AR-15 rifle through downtown LA. Magazine dump, guns cycling perfectly. Nothing stops. But it's not as easy as it looks in heat. An AR-15 has roughly 80 to 100 parts depending on the configuration. Every single one of those parts has to be in spec, many properly lubricated and free of carbon fouling for the gun to cycle reliably. It is an elegant system, but if any of those variables fall out of spec, the gun stops. Another gas system can eventually crack the components. Carbon buildup can cause short stroking. Drop it in mud or sand, and the entire operating system can lock up. There is also the magazine itself. The AR-15 depends completely on an external magazine to function. If that magazine is damaged, has a weak spring, or has a dented feed lip, the gun does not work at all.
What?
And if it does work, and you shoot it inside, your ears will be ringing for weeks. Potentially permanently damaged. Gun 3, shotgun. Is it the 12-gauge king of home protection, or just a Hollywood myth with a bad attitude. It has devastating stopping power. One trigger pull with double-aught buckshot sends 9 pellets downrange. At home or bedroom distances, under 15 yards, that's like getting hit by a handful of 38 specials at once. Bad guy goes down really fast. There is another upside. Shotguns are more versatile and reliable than what we just saw. With a simple mechanical design, fewer things to jam. It runs dirty, runs wet, runs when you need it. And it is somewhat forgiving. You don't need pinpoint accuracy under stress. Point and shoot. Good enough hits are easier than with a handgun, although the spread pattern is tighter than what most people think. The problem starts with the recoil. It kicks like a pissed off mule. If you're smaller statured or not practiced, follow-up shots will be slow and difficult, and it is heavy. The biggest issue is capacity and reloads. Since most of them are tube fed, that means you have 5 to 8 rounds max before you're thumbing in shells one at a time. Under stress, it's a recipe for disaster. They are also generally not very maneuverable, with long barrels in tight hallways, and if you shoot it inside, your ears will ring for a long time. To be fair, some of it gets better with new generation shotguns, like my lovely Genesis 12. But still harder to store or carry than a handgun. What does this gun have that none of those 3 guns have? Simplicity. Only about 20 moving parts. If I'm facing a home invasion, I can rest easy with my revolver, even if I kept it in a safe or nightstand and did nothing with it for years. No maintenance, no racking, no dealing with safeties, nothing to check. You grab it at 3 a.m., half asleep, and it works. Anyone in the house that you've trained can run it under stress. That is the word, simplicity. A revolver will almost always work because there are not many ways for things to go wrong. That's why the jam rate is 0. And that is not the only reason why it's safer. 18.6. While simplicity is the revolver's biggest asset, that number, 18.6, is almost as important. If you take a look at a weapon like this, you might think it is dangerous, like a hand cannon waiting to blow up in your face or on someone else. The opposite is true. Since about the turn of the 20th century, revolvers have featured a double-action trigger. Pulling the trigger first cocks the gun, and then, second, fires the gun. But that requires more pressure. That long, heavy, double-action trigger pull is basically a built-in safety. And no, it does not take away time in a self-defense situation. Yes, the time to pull the trigger is slightly shorter on a semi-auto. The difference might seem like it matters, but it is not statistically significant. And the upside is much greater safety, not just with the trigger pull, but the visuals of the gun itself. Many semi-automatic pistols conceal the hammer, so you don't know when they're cocked. With a revolver, you can easily see if the hammer is cocked or not. You can also easily see if your revolver is loaded or not. Just pull out the cylinder and the rounds will show up. There is no guessing if a round is in the chamber like with a semi-automatic pistol. In conclusion, revolvers are 18.6 times safer than semi-automatics. That number is not mine.
No, it's not.
The NYPD actually studied this in the 90s and found that there were 0.75 accidental discharges per 1,000 shots for revolvers. There were 14 per 1,000 for semi-autos. For self or home defense, a revolver will do almost all the jobs a semi-automatic will do, with much less risk to your family. There is just one drawback. The semi-auto's best selling point is its magazine capacity. A modern pistol carries 10 to 17 rounds. Most revolvers carry 6. That is a real factual disadvantage. And anybody who pretends it is not is selling you something.
Good afternoon. I know what you're thinking.
But with most self or home defense situations with guns involve few shots. Data from the FBI, police reports of civilian self-defense situation, and Rangemaster, a prominent defensive firearms training organization, converge on 2 to 4 shots fired per incident. So, can I semi-auto all more rounds? Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Will you need to fire 15 of them? Probably only if you popped into an episode of The Walking Dead, or if you're strolling in Chicago on a weekend. Still, the only whole 6 argument is the single strongest knock against the revolver. The old 6 shooters of the Wild West have evolved. The basic design is the same. It just packs more heat now. Welcome to the exciting world of the 8-shot revolver. And it takes the best argument for a semi-auto off the table. Because 8 is not 6. 8 is a genuinely different number for self-defense. Those 2 extra rounds change the math in a way that the 6 versus 17 people forget. And what do you know? I've had 3 8-shooters right here all along. So now comes the fun part.
Now the fun begins.
Modern tactical revolvers. This is my Smith & Wesson 627 Performance Center. 8 rounds for extra measure. You can chamber it for 357 Magnum or 38 Special. It will love both rounds.
I love it!
The weight, about 40 ounces unloaded. Yes, that's significantly more than my other carry. A 9mm pistol which weighs 25 ounces. You get much less recoil in exchange. Especially as it shoots powerful rounds because all that extra steel absorbs the force. Shooting 357 Magnum rounds out of this gun feels downright civilized. And 38 Special feels like nothing at all. Don't believe me? Just watch. Look how flat that stays. Multiple rounds of 38 Special and the gun barely moves. That is what mass does for you. It's a big gun, but it's safe.
Safety is sexy.
And you're not going to break your wrist if you shoot it less than perfectly in a stressful situation. But if that weight still feels a little intimidating, I have a different answer for you. It's this gun right here, the Smith & Wesson 327 Performance Center. It's the same basic idea with an end frame holding 8 rounds of 357 Magnum or 38 Special. But where the 627 is built heavy, the 327 is light at 21 ounces unloaded. The difference is in the scandium alloy frame. Scandium is a light metal at only about 3 grams per cubic centimeter compared to typical steel, which is about 7.8 grams per cubic centimeter. Smaller space, lighter weight. That's why scandium alloy firearms are ideal weapons for concealed carry. And you guessed it, this is one of my go-to carry guns. I can take it out for as long as I want without wrecking my belt. One drawback for the lighter weight is that there is less mass to absorb recoil. Shooting 357 Magnum in this is no fun.
This isn't fun.
On that note, 357 Magnum looks cool and it has a lot of power. But 38 Special is ideal for revolvers in self-defense situations, especially with hollow point round, where the need to have quick follow-up shots is critical. Finally, we have my Corse NX8, aka German engineering at its best. It is imported in the US by Nighthawk Customs, so it was a bit pricey, but worth it because I genuinely believe this is the best revolver in the world right now. It is hefty at about 50 ounces, unloaded, and not made for concealed carry, but awesome in my nightstand or my pickup truck. Easy to maneuver in self-defense situations, and you will have 8 rounds of 38 specials normally. You can also buy cylinders that hold 9mm rounds, which means the ammo is cheaper and there's less recoil. And that trigger feels like it was machined by angels with a grudge against every other revolver. Watch and see how it handles in 357 Magnum and 38 Special. Course is a name that means we will not be undersold, and it is appropriate here. This gun shows you the pinnacle of revolver design. A 150-year-old concept executed at a level no striker-fired plastic gun shooting experience will ever touch. The revolver is not old technology, it's finished technology. This is what finish looks like when somebody spends real money and effort on it. Semi-autos have their place in competition or duty carry for some people, like police officers. But for a huge number of civilian users, the revolver is hard to beat. So keep buying the latest gen whatever Glock if you want. I'll be over here with a design that has not needed a major update since the 1850s. And still runs perfectly. To learn more about AR-15s, feel free to check out my video on what Hollywood gets wrong about assault rifles.